This is a lodgepole pine tree. We want to learn some things about the tree, what's going on inside. So I have an increment borer here, and we will bore through the tree. I'm just trying to find the best spot so I can get through the center of the tree. People wonder if this hurts the tree, and actually the tree can heal itself just fine. And this would be the core. So now we can look at this. I can count these dark rings to determine the age, and then I can see how it's growing. Obviously, you can see the rings are much further apart at the beginning of the tree's growth, which would be closest to the center, and then towards the end of the tree's growth, which is more on the outside. And I would say as tight as these rings are, that the growth is very minimally productive. It's just getting over-matured, too old, and it just cannot sustain productive growth anymore. What we're looking at here is another area that we did a clear-cut harvest. It was about 80 acres in size. And then we planted ponderosa pine, approximately 350 to 400 trees to the acre. We believe that this stand will be able to be allowed to grow to maturity, and then at that point we will harvest it again. But in the meantime, this again is returned back to a good, healthy forest. The mature forest is gone. We have now a new young forest. It is no longer considered a clear cut, but a young forest that is productive, and the site and the area again is open to recreationists and hunters to utilize the ground until several decades in the future, when we decide that it is time again to harvest, reap the benefit of the crop, get the economic return out of it, and go through the process again.
If you log it while it's valuable, it has merchantable, it's a positive, but you can wait and let it catch fire, and then it costs you a small fortune. And Idaho is one of those states that actually, constitutionally, the state endowment lands are required, and every township you have 1 or 2 sections that are state endowment lands, and they are required to manage that land for the schools. And so they provide a lot of money each year for schools, and on top of what they do to manage and to fund themselves. So I think all in all, it's pretty impressive.
You know, I'm from the area. I went to these schools. I went to the schools that benefited from the endowments. So it's nice to come full circle and be the one providing the revenue to fund the schools that I've worked and learned at. It's the best part of this job.
I think one of the most underappreciated aspects of being the state superintendent is the fact that you serve as a voting member of the State Land Board. And education clearly is a high priority arena for many people, but so are the lands. And the endowment funds contribute to education.
This is our Idaho, and we're not creating any more dirt, any more land, and so this is our opportunity. We need to take care of it and be good stewards while we have it. The work of our grandparents and those that came before us left us this great land. How can we help set that up for that long term for our children and grandchildren?
I'm Phil McGrane. I'm the Idaho Secretary of State, and I am out here participating in wildland firefighter training. As Secretary of State, I sit as one of the 5 members of the Idaho Land Board, overseeing 2.5 million acres of state land. A key part of that is working with the Idaho Department of Lands to make sure we keep and protect our forests so that we can improve the endowment and help our beneficiaries, specifically public schools and others.
Proper management is imperative for all land ownerships, as unmanaged forests are at more risk of catastrophic wildfires that can threaten communities. This is especially true as we see more and more people moving into the wild and urban interface. Previously in Idaho, lands were managed individually by each landowner, but wildfire doesn't recognize ownership or boundaries. That is why we now have the Good Neighbor Authority and the Shared Stewardship Initiative, which the overarching effort we have nicknamed No Boundaries Forestry.
When we think about No Boundaries Forestry, we're looking at the landscape as a whole, regardless of who owns it, and we're thinking, what are forest health issues out there that we need to be aware of? What are wildfire concerns that we need to be aware of? And where are those places that we really need to be thinking about conducting some level of a treatment? And then we work with the whole array of landowners on that landscape. It's a wildfire crisis because we have forests that are really at risk, and we need to improve their resiliency through management.
If we were just doing this as a Forest Service project, our timelines would be a lot longer as we try to bounce around between projects across the forest. So leveraging our relationship with Idaho Department of Lands has been huge because they were able to get out here while we were focused on a different timber sale, get the trees painted, help us understand what they were seeing on the ground, help adjust prescriptions, and really get a good product out the door for a timber sale industry to bid on and then hit the ground running with it as well.
And one of the reasons we picked this area is that it's in the Ponderay State Fire Protection District, and that's one of the highest fire workload in IDL's northern fire protection districts. It makes it a lot easier to, there's a lot less fuel loading, more open, it's easier to get in and access and suppress fires when you have lower fuel loadings versus, you got a lot of heavy down and dead woody materials, thick canopy. It's harder to suppress those fires. With a more open crown, it's going to be more receptive to aerial assets as well, whether we're doing helicopter bucket work or single engine air tankers with retardant or water drops from scooping aircraft.
It had just been pre-commercially thinned, which basically reduces the stalking level. Most of the trees are still green. I mean, the fire stayed on the ground as a surface fire. As they moved along the fire and it was moving this way, bring in the dozer, get in front of it, put the water on it and had it out, kept it small.
About the same time that we received approval on that development, we were approached by a land trust, and that land trust asked us if we would be interested in putting the property under a forest a non-development forest legacy project. And so we thought this is more true to our core and our values as a timberland owning company. And so we looked into that and we made application. And then we found out in 2015 that the project ranked 5th nationally. And so we were on our way to a conservation easement. I think we all know that we can't develop every square inch of the earth. And special places like Clagstone Meadows are really important, and forest legacy makes that possible. And it is forever a working forest land because of forest legacy.
We're still probably not cutting what we're growing, and what we're trying to do is find that magic number. This LiDAR technology is amazing. All of us that were foresters, we like going out and cruising trees, but this thing, I mean, it's telling you an answer, and it's giving you a census basically of your forest, not a sample. So it's super powerful. It gives foresters a better planning tool.
Our business is headquartered in McCall, and we've been in business for 72 years. My dad started our business back in 1947, and so it's been like a lifetime for me. It hasn't been ever just a job. Logging has been my life.
As purchasers, we come in and appraise and bid a sale. We then oversee the logging operations and utilize the logs in one of our manufacturing mills. Huge driver for the local economies. Stimson owns 3 mills here in the inland, Priest River, St. Mary's, and Plummer. And those are huge driving forces for the local economies of all those communities. In the instances where a stand of timber is managed, you have a reduction of fuels. This stand looks a lot like what this piece of land would look like if the fire return interval wouldn't have been interrupted through urban development and fire suppression. So we can recreate the landscape of what it would have looked like historically, all the while gathering or using it in a way that stimulates the economy, all the while generating a healthier forest.
If we don't take the forests, Mother Nature will. It will take it through wildfire, it will take it through epidemics of beetle attacks, tussock moth attacks, you name it. The forest is always evolving in a process, and harvesting just mimics what Mother Nature does. It's able to get a product out that we can utilize and put in the economy and create many jobs. All things will occur at different stages throughout time, and not all things will occur at the same time in the same place.